The following is paid programming.
It's time to talk taxes.
New friends, new opportunities, new partners. EG Tax.
It's Ask the Tax Lady with Esther Gulius and EG Tax on News Radio 930 WBEN. To reach Esther now, call 803-0930. Toll free at 1-800-616-9236. And cell calls are free at star 930. And now, live from the WBEN studios, it's Esther Gulius.
Hello, everybody. This is Esther Gulius, the tax lady, and we give you the best tax information, the best financial information. This is your hour to get free help, and we have always a special topic. If it's not tax season, obviously during tax season we talk just taxes, but this time of year we kind of take and we talk about taxes, we talk about things that you need to know. And again, if you have any questions, if you're getting love letters from the IRS, the state of New York, you're wondering what to do, 803-0930, 803-0930, star 930 on a cell phone is your place to call for free advice. And this week we have Tiffany Fabian. Hey, Tiff.
Hey there. How's it going?
Well, my mother is not very well.
Yeah, that's sad. But
she did better
today. I think
today.
she's getting good care, and the hospital did a great job. And
Yep. I'll tell you, it was really sad. My mother called and asked when I was picking her up from the hotel, and I said, "You mean, Mom, you're in an apartment?" She said, "No, you brought me to a hotel," and I said, "No, Mom, I didn't." So that was my first inkling. So I spent a week.
It makes it for
getting
sleepless
getting
nights,
her.
doesn't it?
Oh my God, I hardly slept last night.
Yeah.
Anyway, and Christopher Fabian. Hey, Chris.
Hello, Esther.
Hey, and then our special guest, Tim Eliason. He's our health care guru. And so, boy, we are going to talk. You know, Congress can't do poo-poo about health care.
Yeah, so
but you are going to get the straight poo-poo here. So if you can't get health insurance, if you don't know what to do about health insurance, we have an expert here that wants to help you. And 803-0930, 803-0930, star 930 cell phone. Tim Eliason is our very own healthcare navigator, smart guy. He knows more about health insurance. He knows more about health insurance than the health insurance people in the state of New York.
I'm beginning to believe that.
I would agree.
I think that's true. I do think that's true. So whether you've gotten turned down, you don't have health insurance, you say, I'm just going to pay the penalty for not having health insurance, this is a place to give us a call, because if I want to tell you, if Tim can't help you, nobody can, and he'll give you all the inside stuff, right?
Yeah, that's.
I mean, I got to tell you, yesterday I was on the road and one of my clients called me, and they said, "You remember last year I had to pay back all my subsidy?" I said, "Yeah." She goes, "Well, when I signed up for health insurance, I made sure I raised my income. I didn't have a subsidy. All of a sudden, I get a letter from New York State with the check." And they're saying, here's all your extra money. And by the way, your payment is here because of a subsidy. And she called New York State and said, I don't want a subsidy. I have to pay it back. She goes, I don't care. That's what the computer says. So I said, call Tim, please.
Did she call you, Tim?
I haven't heard that one yet. So,
okay.
But that's where they say that the software has become more sophisticated in the way that it processes things.
You see, now here's the thing about the subsidies. It feels so good every month that they're kicking in $200-300 until you do your federal return.
Exactly.
And then you find out, wait, you weren't supposed to get the $300 a month. Now you owe the federal government $3,600. Then it doesn't feel good.
Nope.
And that responsibility is your responsibility. So here this lady is trying to be proactive so she doesn't owe all that money back, and the state sends her back the money.
Exactly. And on the contrary, some people elect not to take the monthly subsidy and just
so they
want
can
it
get
on
the
their
credit.
tax return. That confuses the IRS. Why would anybody wait for the money and not take it on a monthly basis? That doesn't make any sense to the IRS. So they send letters and say,
we're all different.
I guess.
We're all different.
Well, but, you know, the whole thing is, if it were me and I could get a subsidy, but I could eke out the payment every month, I would get it at the end, because it'd be a little bank savings account, and then I know that I won't have to pay it back.
Exactly.
Because you'd really, until you put all the numbers together, you don't know if you should get a subsidy.
Exactly.
You know?
I mean,
and then how about if you got dependents? I'm sorry, Chris.
Oh, I was going to say, heaven forbid something happen in November or December where your income goes up, and then all that subsidy you got
Goes away.
goes away.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep. unexpected.
Anyway, so we're talking, obviously, health insurance. I think what they don't do in Washington, we are going to try really hard to help you with in New York State. And I have to tell you, the financial guys had their panel of guests just before us, and they were talking about New York State's Medicaid bill is twice the closest other state with Medicaid, and that would be California. I mean, this is the mecca for free and subsidized health and Medicare and Medicaid payments, the state of New York, and that's one of the reasons we pay so much in income taxes. So if you wonder why, and people upstate have nothing. I mean, we have no power. Talk about taxation without a representation, you know? Okay, but before I get into that, 8030930, 8030930, star 930 on a cell phone. We have 2 tax challenges we want to tell you that what happened this week. Chris, you want to tell us, everybody, the first?
Sure. This mention that we're talking about New York State. This one's about New York State as well. And for those people, you know who you are, who's listening, who got letters that saying, we need proof of your withholding. Send us your W-2s. And you're like, but I sent them already. I'm not sending them again. This is stupid. Well, what New York State's doing is if you don't send that W-2 again, they're going to bill you for that withholding.
That you know that you had withheld.
Yes.
And they know you had withheld, too. They have New York 45s. So they got it from your employer. But unless you provide the proof, they take away your withholding from the tax return that you filed. And what do they do, Chris?
So say your tax was $900, your withholding was $1,000, so you're supposed to get a $100 refund. Well, instead of mailing you your $100, they mail you something, but it's a bill for the tax of $900.
Right. So if you got one of those letters, EG Tax will help you, and you're going to have to get a copy of your W-2 and send it in to the state, even though it's already been presented through your employer. Okay, what is challenge number 2 this week?
Challenge number 2 has to do with if, I think in 2015, New York State stopped mailing you your unemployment statement.
If you got it.
If you received unemployment. And so now it takes about a year or so for the letters to roll out. So now people are getting letters from the IRS. You didn't report your New York State unemployment on your return. But the truth is, if you weren't electronic savvy, you didn't know to go on to New York State unemployment site and get the 1099-G. And so you have to now pay what you owe because the letters are sorry, but they're right. And then the worst part is you also have to amend your New York return because New York takes another year to get out that letter because there's freedom of information and the federal will let New York State know.
All right, so if in 2015 or 2016 you collected unemployment, but they didn't send you the 1099-G because they don't, you have to go on their website and the New York State unemployment website and download the amount of unemployment you got. It's not going to let you off the hook. You're going to be getting bills on 215. If you haven't claimed it for 216, be proactive. Find out what you got. Amend your return now so that they
less interest.
Right, less penalty and interest is going to be accrued on both the federal and the state. Okay,
but that's. I think that Tim was right. New York State did a bad job of communicating that to taxpayers, in my opinion.
Do they communicate?
Even for those that didn't do it, that were using the old phone system, they would have had to call and request to have that mailed to them. Even if they didn't have a computer and they weren't doing it that way, they still had to request it. So
right. That's right. So just because you didn't get it doesn't get you off the hook because it was available to you. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back on the other side with your questions and comments. 8030930, 8030930, star 930 on the cell phone. We're talking taxes and we're talking health insurance. We'll see you on the other side.
We are family.
We are family. And that's how we feel at EG Tax, because we feel like, ready? We are family.
It's
All
so
right.
funny.
I got all
we
my
did an
clients
interview
in me.
yesterday for a new person at our job, and Esther and Maria and I interviewed the person, and Esther said, "You're joining a family." So we even say that to our staff.
I told him, I said, you may not want
You're gonna
a
be my
mother,
child.
another mother, but guess what? I can become your mother. All right, we're going to go to the phones, 8030930, 8030930, star 930 on the cell phone. And Tony's been waiting forever. Hey, Tony, how can we help you, sir?
Well, I'm glad to wait for the wonderful trio that's
Tony.
Hey, Tony, what can we do for you,
Happy
sir?
summer.
Well, first of all, I've been sick part of the time, so I've had no time to call. I'm going to ask, first of all, Esther, what do you think would be the best tax plan or the fairest tax plan that the Congress could enact during their session in September? Secondly, what plan do you think you would like to see enacted that makes us taxpayers put in a better position? Secondly, I thought in the Affordable Care Act that the subsidies that are being paid to people, and I talked to Mr. Engels from the Blue Cross Blue Shield, he's the president, about this last Sunday. The subsidies that are paid are, first of all, they're in the law. So if anyone wants to stop paying these subsidies, that is the president, he's going to break the law. Unless the law is totally taken up, if it's repealed. You can't take the subsidies away from the people. It's because the insurance companies have to have these, they already credit to the person that's giving the subsidy, and then they wait for the payment from the federal government. That's how he explained it to me.
Well,
but any comments you have on this?
Well, it's so funny. Before Esther answers what's her best tax plan, I was doing a tax return yesterday for a man who is a teacher in China, and the law is you have to report worldwide income. And his wife,
on your U.S. return.
On a U.S. return. And his wife is Chinese, and so he did married filing separate. And his wife from China was here visiting, and she's like, "This is so confusing here. Your tax code is so confusing." She goes, "In China, it's all in our W-2. It's all in our payroll system. We don't have to file a return." And so she was...
That's because they pay everything to the
Hey,
government.
That's what I was saying.
I mean, you don't get it. You only get what the government says.
Right. And I said that our program has social programs built in it.
Right.
And they don't have
well,
that in China.
I mean, and that's what's happening is, anyway, Tony, thanks for calling. I'm gonna answer it off the air.
Thank you.
And I thank you for calling.
I hope you feel better.
Yeah, I hope you do too. All right, so what would my tax code be? I have no idea because it's, let me tell you, because what's happened is just like Tiffany said, it's now full of social programs. There's all kinds of welfare benefits in there. There's the Earned Income Credit, Refundable Child Tax Credit. There's the American Opportunity Tax Credit. There's all kinds of money that's in the code that goes to people, and those people don't pay taxes. When we're doing tax returns, a lot of the returns that we do have people that never pay any tax, probably 40%, don't pay any taxes at all to the federal or the state, and they get refunds of money they didn't pay in. So what it is it's really a conundrum, and you guys can jump in here at any time, because to really modify the tax code to make it fair to working people would make it unfair to the poor. I think that's how people would look at it. So I think if they were having trouble getting and modifying health care, they are really going to have a hard time modifying income taxes, because in order for them to fund some of the things that they want to do by reducing tax liability, they have to get rid of a lot of the subsidies. And it looks like those people in Washington don't have very many word?
I think that cutting taxes to businesses would be. I was looking at the GDP, and the GDP only grew like by 2, or it's only up by 2, and it should be up by 4. And the reason the GDP is not growing very much is because the businesses are paying too much taxes. That's what I heard.
Right, but in order to subsidize this,
right,
to come up with so that the budget doesn't go up, the budget deficit doesn't go up. It's got to be revenue neutral. That means that you got to get rid of something. And so if these guys won't modify health the health insurance that
Right.
they promised for 8 years that they were going to do, this ought to be really interesting.
So it's just
interesting.
and then Mr.
interesting.
Fabian and Tim have
Yeah,
their hand
what do
in
you guys
there.
got?
I was going to say, and they keep making our tax return depend on every other program. Now it's health insurance.
Right.
Now it's going to be your education, your college costs for your kids. It's your EPIC program. It's your STAR program. It's everything is so intertwined
with your income tax return.
It's going to be. They would
So
have
anyway,
to
I
destroy
think-
it to rebuild.
Right. I think that's the only way that they can do the tax code is to start from scratch. And just say, okay, nobody's got anything, and this is what we're going to build. And same thing with health insurance. Nobody's got anything. We're going to have to rebuild. But that, I think you would really need some statesmen, and I mean on both sides of the aisle. And I don't know if there is that anymore.
I think they were sort of ingenious when the code. I mean, it encourages people to go to work. I mean, there's a lot of things in the tax code that I think are
But
good.
there's a lot of things in the code too that encourage you not to work
And not to get
right?
married
right.
and not to.
And
Right.
right. Well, let me and 8030930 8030930 star 930 on your cell
And
phone,
then-
and we're going to go to Ernest, and then we're going to you,
about
Mr.
the
Tim.
I want to answer his Affordable Care Act.
Okay. Hey, Ernest, how can we help you, sir?
Yes, I receive income from my daughter. She's disabled, and they pay her rent to me, and it's about maybe $500, $600 a month.
Okay.
And I'm not sure if I need to claim that. How would I claim that? Will I have to file a Schedule E?
Yes, sir. You do.
Unless it's not fair market rent.
Right,
Then it
which
goes
is going to
line
still be
21.
taxable. It's taxable to you, though, Ernest, so you would put it on your Schedule E. I'm assuming that's fair rental value, right? They determined that, right?
Well, I'm not sure.
So are you saving $500 a month that they give you for your daughter living at your house?
Yes.
Well, that's got to be. She doesn't have a whole apartment, does she?
No, she lives there. She has her own bedroom. She cooks food and everything.
Right, but she's in your housing unit, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so it's going to be taxable. You reduce it. You do a Schedule E. You reduce it by your proportionate expenses, and you'll end up with you'll end up with some net profit, but it should be nowhere near $6,000. But yeah, you put it on
And
a
then you're
Schedule
going to
E.
depreciate a portion of your
Your house, right.
I just had somebody the other day who came in and he's like, "Oh my God, my kids were renting a portion of my room before they bought the house." He goes, "Somebody told me I got to declare it," and so it goes on a Schedule E.
That's right. And if you don't, they're going to send you a love letter, and they're going to do the tax liability with no deductions. So you want to make sure you're proactive, Ernest, and get it done before. Okay?
Okay. So
Thanks for calling, sir. Bye-bye.
because
I'm Esther Golias, the tax lady from EG Tax, 8030930, 8030930, star 930 on your cell phone. You wanted to say.
I was going to say the truth is he's getting a Section 8. They're going to get a 1099, and the IRS is going to get a copy of that, and that's what Esther
Well, he said, yeah.
And then, Tim, Tony's question.
About the subsidies. Actually, there's three subsidies that have been in play in the news. One is the individual subsidy, which would never go away. That's the subsidy that an individual gets to help them pay for their health insurance. The second subsidy is the subsidy that comes from the federal government to the insurance companies to
That
help them
no
keep
one
the
sees.
Exactly.
Right.
And then the third one that's been in the news now that President Trump's been trying to use as leverage is the subsidy that's given to all the members of Congress.
Right.
to
And
help
that's
that-
what he was talking about.
Exactly.
Right.
And is that
Exactly.
written in the
so
law,
the
like Tony
subsidy,
said?
It was an executive order by Obama after
right,
health care law
and
was
that's why
passed.
he can repeal it.
Yep.
Because it's the third subsidy.
Yep.
So when Tony was talking about subsidies, it is true that he couldn't unilaterally change the law without a law being changed. But that was an executive order. So in an executive order, Trump can trump the Trumper.
Yes,
more or less.
exactly.
I
So
think
he
all
could.
politicians should have to get insurance from the exchange since they're the ones who voted for it.
I think that's absolutely true. But okay, so
So
let's
that answered his question
All right, so
very
let's
well.
talk about health insurance. All right, so 2018 is what we're looking at right here.
Exactly.
All right, what should we expect him?
Well, as everybody knows, the open enrollment time's coming up. Starts November
no, everybody
1st.
doesn't know
Well,
that. They tell everybody.
Well, open enrollment starts November 1st.
Right.
So right now, what we're doing is status quo. The existing law stays in place. Everything goes into, November 1st. Anybody that has what's called a qualified health plan, that's a premium where they may have a subsidy or not, and they're in the marketplace through the New York State of Health. That's when their enrollment time is. That's when they can shop their plans, change their plans, open enrollment, unless they've had a life-changing event outside of that.
Now, here's the thing. what people don't realize is that that life-changing event doesn't have to be like, oh my gosh, my house fell down. It can be, I got married, I had a baby, I lost my job.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
I mean, it doesn't have to be earth-shattering. It just has to be something that affected maybe the computation of your health insurance before.
Exactly. And I meet with clients
And
right
those
now.
people can do it in June and March and April and January and September. They can do it anytime as long as you had a life-changing event.
Exactly. And that's where I meet with clients right now, because we kind of do, what is the state of the household? Is their income? Is it household going to be changing? What, is there a child coming? Is somebody moving out? Somebody turning 26? Those are things I'm talking with clients right now.
And those are all
Do you
life-changing
think
events.
the costs are going to go up a lot?
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
and we could probably talk about that after the break.
And that's what we're going to do. So if you are somebody that doesn't have health insurance, or if you know somebody that doesn't, or your kids are losing it, or your health insurance is going up, this is where you can get free, great information from Tim Eliason. He's our very own EG Tax healthcare navigator from New York State, and he will help you. 8030930, 8030930, star 930 on your cell phone. We're going to take a break for the news, and we'll be back on the other side with your questions. Now we go, woo! Hey, I'm Esther Golias, the tax lady from EG Tax. Our phone number here in studio is 8030930, 8030930, star 930 on a cell phone. And I'm going to tell you the topic that's been on everybody's lips the last couple of months, actually for the last 8 years, is health insurance. And we got the answers, and we especially, what I don't think people understand is that New York State is a different animal than most of the rest of the country relative to health insurance. Am I right, Tim?
Exactly.
I mean, everybody in New York State already, we're in the Cadillac of health insurance.
Even our options,
Yep.
that's we'll talk a little bit too later about the essential plan. We got 670,000 people in New York State that take advantage of this essential plan, which
Okay,
is something
explain the essential plan.
Essential plan is kind of in between full premium plan and Medicaid. It's where if your income for a household of 4 is below $48,500, you could get insurance for each of the adults in the house for $20 a month, no deductible, maximum out of pocket $2,000. And at that income, the kids would each qualify for $9 a month for Child Health Plus.
I mean, you can't beat that.
No. Nope.
So husband, wife, and one child, we're talking $49 a month with $2,000 out of pocket per person or for the household?
Per person. That is
so
per
that's
person.
$6,000 then.
Well, yes. Yep.
Right.
So, but with
But
the
the kid would get a better deal. wouldn't he?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And with the plans out there that right now with the high deductible and the maximum out of pocket that are in the marketplace, those are plans.
All right. So did you hear him? A family of 4, $45,500 or less, the health insurance on the essential plan is $20 a month. Now, if you're in the car driving and you look at your spouse and say, well, why are we paying $400 a month? And that's what you got. Then you get to switch.
Yep.
Right?
Exactly,
I mean, you get to
exactly.
switch.
Exactly.
So, just because you're in a plan doesn't mean you should stay in the plan. And that's where ignorance is not bliss. I've never thought ignorance was bliss.
Well, as we were going into the break, you were talking about the increase in the premiums. Well, right now, on average in New York State, the insurance companies have put in with the Department of Financial Services, and I love the line that says, the insurers, you can contest this if the insurer's request is unreasonable, excessive, discriminatory, or inadequate. So, but these premiums going in right now, they're going to increase on average 16%. And even in a small business where somebody has an employer plan that they're being offered, those could go up 14%. Well, now the marketplace is starting to come more and more into play because that threshold where even if you're under an employer plan,
Right.
if
The
your
9 point some percent, right?
9.56%, if your cost to
All right, now
employer
we have to
plan-
break this down because, one thing I love talk radio, but if somebody's talking and you don't understand what they're saying, right? So let's give people a concrete example. So now listen to me. This is what Tim is saying. Just because you're under an employer plan doesn't mean you have to stay under the employer plan. if you can get a better plan for cheaper and you qualify in the marketplace. And to qualify, go for it. Tim.
That's where you'd have to
explain.
So, if somebody has $30,000 of income,
right,
that gets them above as an individual. It's too high for the essential plan, but their premium there. So if we got $30,000, they're looking at roughly, what?
$2,850.
Yep, $2,850 for the year. If they go into the marketplace, they can maybe find insurance for, $2,000 for the year for premiums. A lot of employer plans are starting to see high deductibles.
Yeah, so if they were paying $230 a month, right, and they were $30,000, they might be able to go on the essential plan. If they're paying more than $2,850 a year, then they would qualify to get out of the employer plan and go into the marketplace and use the essential plan that might be $20 a month.
Exactly.
Gee,
or get
$230 or $20.
Yep.
$230 or $20. Which do I like better?
And taking a step farther, I'm $230 a month, but I still have a $2,000 deductible that I have to cover before my insurance kicks in. Well, if I'm in the marketplace at $20 a month, I have no deductible. I go right to my copays.
Man alive. I mean, and that's where if you're paying more than 9.5% of your gross income to health insurance, then you qualify to say to your employer, thanks but no thanks. I'm going to go to the New York State marketplace because I can get a much better plan.
And that's all within the parameters
And nobody's
of the
going
law.
to shoot you, call you bad names.
Nope.
Nothing like that's going to happen.
Nope, you're not breaking the law because that's well within the law.
I mean, and that's what's so remarkable. I think my sister-in-law is paying a whole bunch of money. I should really, people complain to me all the time, and you hate like heck to sit down and say, well, sit down and let's talk about it because they're just complaining,
Exactly.
Right. But I will tell you, you should complain. And if there is and the great thing about, I hate the socialism. But if you're stuck, if you're in this state, you may as well take advantage of it.
Exactly.
I mean, right?
Exactly. And and the thing too, and I always tell everybody where I find this most beneficial is somebody that plans to retire early. You always talk about the 62 and the Social Security and stuff like that. When somebody's retiring like that, a lot of times their only option is to have a COBRA plan that they can keep paying on from their employer to try to get to their Medicare age. Well, that plan can be $600, $700, $800 a month. Well, depending what their income, resources are going to be for them, for they and their spouse to retire, I've seen people and I worked with people and we said, okay, let's use things that aren't taxable. Now you have $20 a month insurance. You're not taking your Social Security just to pay for health care till you get to your Medicare age.
In other words, it's the planning is more sophisticated because
Exactly.
now your health insurance becomes part of your tax return.
Well, health insurance is 1/6 of the economy.
Yep.
I mean, it's going to, it's a huge portion of everybody's pocket. So.
Okay. Yeah, Tiff, you got a question?
I was just looking at the screen. Someone, it was nothing.
Okay. All right. So was there, I know there's been some tweaking in the health law, but that's federal, right? The federal stuff really doesn't affect New York State, right?
No.
And that's what people don't seem to understand is all this stuff, all this rhetoric in Washington doesn't really affect New York State because New York State has already bought it in hook, line, and sinker, and you're covered in New York State. So you really don't have to worry about what they do in Washington.
If President Trump threatens to get rid of the shortage and the subsidies, New York State
doesn't have anything to do with it.
That's a mute issue for New York State.
Exactly.
Because they already, like Esther said, bought into it hook, line, and
But
sinker.
wait, we have all this. New York State has all this extra money to keep paying for everybody's health insurance. Or is that why they're billing for W-2s now?
Well, yeah. That's right. That you got to have the resources and the income. The pool has to have the money in it.
So have you read anywhere where they said, well, okay, whatever they do in Washington makes no difference in New York State because the New York State of Health is that's it. It's a law of New York State, and this is what we're going to do. Because what if there were no subsidies? You know, we're saying about the 3 subsidies: the individual subsidy, the subsidy from the federal, and then the subsidy to the insurance company. If the law did change, though, the insurance companies would lose their subsidies possibly, and the federal government wouldn't be paying New York State. So it has to adjust New York State somehow.
Yes, and that's where you hear the governor talking about the single payer program. You hear him floating that idea every once in a while. And in some states, you go out to where there's less population and less people paying taxes in. There are states right now that have counties that have no insurance companies that are offering plans through the Affordable Care Act.
Yep.
So they have no way to get the subsidies. They have to go directly to an insurance company on a state level and pay full premium.
Yeah.
So, New York has this, obviously we have a luxury with the population.
How many insurers do we have in Erie and Niagara County?
Well, Erie County right now, there's 7 that are
Okay.
in the pool. And Niagara County, I believe there's 5, it looks like, going into 2018. So obviously the insurance companies evaluated on a county-by-county basis, hey, am I going to have enough healthy people paying in this county to cover the claims that I'm going to have for the insurance? If they feel like that's not a market they want to be in, you get out to Wyoming County and Genesee County, even those options shrink a little bit more because the insurance companies don't want to be somewhere where they're not going to have revenue.
And so with that comes passing on the cost to the consumer. And so that is the bump. And so,
Exactly.
I mean, I hate to, but that means that the costs are going to go up, right?
Exactly.
In
And,
18.
that's where the premiums go up. And, there's some companies that have put in for 25 or 30%. We were talking a little bit about Arizona. It's been in the news. 116% increase in premiums in the state of Arizona.
How can you afford
So
that?
here we have an individual representing that state, to be named, that, voted against this reform.
Would that be McCain?
I didn't want to say it out
Okay.
loud. So,
I mean, I do pray for him because I feel very bad that he has cancer. But Rhino, anyway.
Yeah. So, and the law, needs to change. It really does. And the odd thing about the law and the way that it's written is, the executive order that we were talking about previously. There's some things that can be changed that way. The core of the law has to be changed with legislation. Otherwise, the head of the Department of Human Resources, can change all the law because that's the person that has the final say. But that's really on the implementation to the states and everything. Unless you change the law and the way that the money and everything is spent, it's not going to curb the marketplace.
Okay, I'm Esther Golias, the tax lady from EG Tax, 803-0930, 803-0930, star 930 on a cell phone. And I want to tell you, we have a great opportunity here for you to talk about your particular situation regarding health insurance. If you don't have health insurance, many people that I saw last year, they would say, and how much is my penalty going to be because I didn't get it? And I'd look at their income and I'd say, my gosh, you would get the essential plan or you would get a full subsidy. There are people listening that have no health insurance that we could help get health insurance, and we don't charge to do it. EG Tax provides this service at no charge. So if you have any questions, 803-0930, 803-0930, star 930 on a cell phone. We certainly want to help you. And Tim, you're breaking the studio.
I apologize. It's a good thing I'm covered by the healthcare law.
Okay, why don't we go to the phones, and we're going to go to Diane on line 1. Hey, Diane, how can we help you, ma'am? Hello?
And you're paying your health insurance to your employer, and you're working for years and years and years, and you keep paying. And one day you become sick and you can't work anymore, and you lose your job and you lose your insurance. What happens?
Oh, but you see, in that situation, when you don't have any income, in New York State, that's good news. What is it, Tim?
Exactly, because that's where you might qualify for that essential plan, because everything's based on projections. So if you're in a situation where your financial situation has changed, we base it, and the way that the healthcare law is, it's all based on upcoming income, your projections
Right,
going
not
forward.
this year's income,
it's
but
It's not
upcoming.
historical, but
Right.
it's all projections. So if you're in a situation where you were talking about where you've lost your your employer's health plan or whatever, and your income has changed dramatically, that's where the marketplace is a perfect place to find health insurance.
All the money you've invested in the insurance company that you've never used, it's really of no benefit.
Because it's like car insurance. Here you're driving around in your car and it didn't smash up. They don't. When you sell the car, they don't give you a refund. They're covering you in the event of. So, did you lose your job, Di?
No, but I'm in a different situation. That was my situation. I always had really good health, and I would feel so sorry for my employer because they must be spending like $5,000 a year on health
Right.
insurance for each person.
Uh-huh.
And then and my insurance was so cheap. It was like $9. So every other week, and then it got higher and higher and higher, and it got so high I couldn't even afford to pay for it.
Well, and that's part of what we talked about. If your health insurance is more than 9.5% of your wages, then you can go into the marketplace and you might get subsidies or the essential plan. Hey, we're going to take a short break with your questions. 8030930, 8030930, star 930 on your cell phone. We got Bob, Jim, and John waiting. We'll see you on the other side. Sometimes I want to get away from Congress, I'll tell you. But I'm Esther Gullius, the tax lady, in studio with Tiff and Chris Fabian and our healthcare navigator, Tim Eliason, who is going to straighten out the bumpy road of health insurance. And we're going to go right to your calls. And we got Bob, Mr. Bob. How can we help you, sir?
Yes, quick question. When I look at what's going on, it almost looks like it's all set up to fail with the health insurance. As you lose population, because we're losing congressional seats, the insurance pools are getting smaller. There is no aggressive tort reform, so to speak. And where you would like to see them, say, if Roswell committed malpractice, you can't sue them because they are a teaching institution. Listening to the former president talk about if grandma needs a pacemaker, she should just take a pain pill, intuitive to what a pacemaker does by restarting the heart. So my question is I just wanted to ask the gentleman, with the talk about end of life and the suicide pill and the money that would be saved by people ending their life early so that they're not taking treatment. Does he see that coming to fruition, or the insurance companies pushing that? After all, it's amazing when a corporation gets involved with politics.
Well, a one-payer system, does that streamline things? Is
that what it's called, streamlining?
That
does streamline it right from the sick bay to the undertaker.
Bob talked about the setup to fail, insurance holes, no tort reform, end of life.
Yeah, obviously, it is set up to fail. The healthcare law was set up to not.
It was meant to go to single payer.
And the reason is, right out of the gate, they did the co-ops where all these co-ops existed to try to keep the premiums, to have this low premium in the marketplace. Those all failed.
Yep.
There's not a single one that's still in existence across the United States. So that failed. As far as the end of life, that's
well,
a
I
tough
mean, let's
philosophical.
face it. I mean, it's just like what happened to that little baby in England.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they had $2 million that was in GoFundMe to go pay for their own expenses, but it fell under the British healthcare law, and they said, no, that's it. I mean, it is true the baby was sick, but they didn't let things happen naturally.
Does Canada have a one-payer system?
Yes.
And I hear about the horrible care that you get over there, and people have to wait and wait and wait and wait.
And just for clarification, the single-payer system means like Medicaid. It was paid through the employer, and the federal government pays everything. Mm-hmm. And we know how good that is, like VA or Medicare, whenever, So when they talk about a single payer system, they're going to come up with a tax that you will pay, and that will pay for your health insurance. So that's it. Then the federal government, you'd be on the federal government's health insurance, and they pay the bills.
And you probably have a committee of elected officials making the decisions.
That's right. They say, Esther's too fat. Nope, we're not going to pay for it.
And I think you said that right.
Not anymore.
The subsidies
That's true. I did lose
were
25
a
pounds.
way to lead you to a single payer system, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure that's what was supposed to happen with Hillary.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it would involve.
Let's go back to Mr. Jim. Hey, Jim, how can we help you, sir?
Thank you for taking my call, Esther.
Yeah.
I work for a company, and I get insurance through them. They don't pay any of it, but I think it's called Section 185, where I get it paid for with pre-tax dollars.
Uh-huh.
Now, I pay premiums in excess of 10%, but making $50,000 a year between my wages and unemployment in the winter. Does that affect things?
Well, he'd still qualify to go to the marketplace.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And then the first thing would, do you qualify? Second thing is, how big is his family?
Exactly.
How big is your family, Jim?
That's just single coverage. I live with my girlfriend. She's on Social Security.
Okay, so then what kind of a plan? So he's got $50,000. You have any idea what he'd have to pay?
He wouldn't be eligible as a single individual for any subsidies or credit.
Right, but he would be able to go into the marketplace and find
see,
out.
It might be the premiums. It might be something that's adjusting his deductible. Obviously, we want to compare it because we are talking about where his pre-tax dollars are lowering.
Right, right.
But also, we can do something on his tax return that we always look at is a health savings account, so
Right.
that he has that ability to lower his tax return or lower his taxable income on the tax return.
Right.
So
yes, Jim, you qualify to go into the marketplace. So the cool thing is you can call, and there's no charge. You can call Tim, and he'll tell you all the options: the bronze plan, the silver plan, the platinum plan, what the deductibles are, what it is, and you may find out that you save money by leaving your employer.
Yeah, because, a lot of people, Tim, you see, are overinsured. They're paying super high costs for really good insurance that they never use.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
that's exactly my case. $119.
Right. So anyway, Jim, call us at the office, 632-7886. That's our corporate phone number, 632-7886. Tim hangs out there. You can go to our website at egtax.com, and this is an absolute free service of EG Tax, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Bye-bye. Let's see. We'll go to Linda in Williamsville. Hi, Linda.
Hi, thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, what can we do for you?
I'm calling on behalf of my husband's situation. He currently is in the marketplace, does have the essential plan, collecting workman's comp, and he has the opportunity to potentially get a part-time job, earning roughly $32,500 a year, and we're just wondering how that would affect his premium.
So how many individuals are on the tax return?
Pardon?
How many of you are on the tax return together? You mentioned yourself and your husband?
Myself and my husband.
So just the two of you?
No children?
No.
Okay. So to maintain that essential plan, his modified adjusted gross income would have to be $32,000 or below between the two of you.
But, Linda, do you work?
No, Social Security disability.
Okay, but that still goes into the
Exactly.
computation.
Yep, so that's
but the
modified.
thing is, here's the thing that you have to say is, if he gets a job making $32,000, let's say after taxes it ends up to be $28,000, all right, and he has to pay $5,000 or $5,000 a year for health insurance, that means you still have $23,000 extra versus $480 that you're saving in your health insurance. So you're tens of $1,000s ahead having a job.
Exactly.
Yeah, because just to reiterate, the Social Security goes towards that computation to add up if you would qualify.
The gross amount of Social Security, not just the taxable
So I mean,
portion.
he wouldn't not work if I could make $32,000 after paying my health insurance. If I net $24,000, I mean, my standard of living just went way up because I now have $24,000 extra to live on. So, but if you call Tim, he'll work out all the numbers for you.
Exactly. And
Okay?
it may be the case, too, that if the job doesn't provide a retirement plan, that he can lower his income by contributing to his an IRA.
That's right.
And lower his income, and he may still
That's
be in the
exactly
essential
right.
plan.
Okay?
Okay.
Thanks, Linda. But that is the conversation across kitchen tables all the time. I can get a job, but gee, I got these benefits. If I get this job, I give up these benefits. Should I get the job or keep the benefits? And what people say all the time is, well, gee, then it isn't like worth it to me to leave for $24,000, because really I'm kind of sitting home.
And I have those conversations all the time. I'm sitting there, and I'll be honest with them and say, you need to work because the net income and to your household is better for you to do this than try to get the inexpensive
And
insurance.
he's paying into Social Security.
And he's paying into
Exactly.
Social Security.
Exactly.
And the other thing is, there's something wonderful about being out in the workforce.
Exactly. Exactly.
Let's go to Sue in Depew. Hey, Sue, how can we help you, dear?
Hi, Esther. How you doing?
I'm good.
Thank you for taking the call. I just have a question. I probably already know the answer, but my husband and I are both well over 50, and it's at the point where we're paying a student loan from me because I went back to school later for my bachelor's, and our health insurance is sucking us dry. We both work, and our kids are grown and married out.
Well, how much do you and your husband make per year, Sue, on, between your wages and other income?
Just together, we probably gross maybe 54.
Okay, and is your health, are you paying your own health insurance, or is it through your employer?
No, I have to pay for both of us.
And so is it through your employer, so it's tax, not a taxed benefit?
No, they take out $290 every 2 weeks.
So
pre-tax.
So $580, right? A month.
So that's about 10%.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's 10%. So it looks like you'd qualify to at least find out what is available in the marketplace for you, so you can leave your employer and go to the marketplace, and you might do might find a better job.
What do you think, Tim?
Better
Exactly,
insurance.
because with that income with the two of them, they're going to be eligible for a subsidy or credit. So that would lower their premium there. They can maybe shop to see what deductible meets their medical needs.
Yep.
And then, like they were saying, a perfect example. Then all of a sudden they have a little bit more of that liquid assets to be able to transfer and get those student loans and get those things.
That's
under
exactly
control.
right.
And they might be even able to go on a student loan repayment plan based upon income, so they could have a
Yep.
reduced rate right now.
Yep,
Exactly.
and if she works for a non-for-profit, 10 years, yep, and if they're federal loans,
So,
she
Sue,
could
don't
consolidate.
not make the phone call. Call Tim. There's no charge. I mean, we really want to help people because this is so sad. It's a terrible thing to say to somebody at tax time, oh, and by the way, you have a penalty of $1,000 because you don't have health insurance. We don't want to do that. We want to be proactive. And more than anything, Tim has taken this upon himself to learn everything about health insurance, and we want to help you. That goes for everybody else, too. Yep. I'm Esther Golias, the tax lady from EG Tax. 632-7886 is our phone number at our corporate office. Our website is egtax.com. You can call Tim Eliason at our corporate office, and he wants to help you. Thanks for calling. Thanks for listening. See you next week. Bye-bye.